We are following some breaking news right now from the Spokane County Courthouse. Spokane County Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich holding a news conference to answer questions about the officer-involved shooting that led to the death of the 74-year-old pastor. Here he is.
I appreciate everybody coming out on short notice to give us the opportunity to address a few questions that we've received and some of the things that have been put out in the media. First of all, Spokane County deputies and the Spokane Valley police officers that were involved in this did everything that they could to ensure that Mr. Creech received medical attention that night. Deputy Herzl was in the area at approximately 11:07 p.m. His first radio traffic was code 6, meaning he was in need of immediate assistance. Within 10 seconds, he stated, "Shots fired, need medics." Those were the first words out of his mouth to ensure that medics were en route. Ladies and gentlemen, there have been 4 officer-involved shootings roughly in the last 10 months in the Spokane County area involving the sheriff's office. 3 of those shootings, deputies on scene were able to help save the lives of those that were involved in those shootings. Sadly, Mr. Creech was not able to be saved due to the injuries he received. These deputies worked very diligently trying to do their jobs. Medics were dispatched, and within 6 minutes of that dispatch, they were on scene assisting the deputies in reference to their efforts to save Mr. Creech. It is regrettable that Mr. Creech died. This investigation has to be done correctly, which leads me to another question as to why is it the deputy has not been interviewed. Quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, that is because that deputy has the same constitutional rights as all of us. We took an oath to uphold the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Washington. He has those rights. The fact of the matter is, Deputy Herzl that night agreed to be interviewed. He did not exercise those rights as of this time. He has agreed to come in and be interviewed. His only request was that wait. He has that right. If it was you or I, we have the right to say, yes, I'll be interviewed, or no, I do not want to be interviewed. We cannot jeopardize this investigation. If I do anything that looks as if we have done anything to coerce this interview from this deputy, it could taint this investigation. This is the last thing that I or this public want, is a tainted investigation. When I came back early from a business trip on Friday, I stepped out in front of the media to assure you, the Spokane residents of Spokane County, that there would be a fair and complete investigation. We have 2 agencies doing that investigation: the Spokane Police Department and the Washington State Patrol. The thing that we need to understand is that won't be the end of this investigation. Once the criminal investigation is done, there will be an internal investigation. That internal investigation will be reviewed by my Citizen Advisory Board. Citizens selected from around the county that sit on a board that advise me on policies, procedures, and things that we do within the community. It will also be reviewed by a shooting or a critical incident review board from experts throughout the sheriff's office in reference to this matter. We do that to ensure that our policies and procedures are correct, that if there was anything that we can do to improve our service, we do so. We are a professional law enforcement agency. You have great people that work for you, and we are doing our due diligence. I have been in contact with the media since Friday. Monday, I sat at the Spokesman Review with the editor and the reporter assigned to this case. The reason being, I wanted to find out how we could make sure that information was being provided, that there was no perception that we're not giving information out. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you have all the information that we really have that is in context. An investigation is much like a puzzle. You build the borders of that investigation, and then you have pieces that you have to put together, and you have to have the context in which they fit. Until Deputy Herzl is interviewed, we won't have the context of everything that we have found at this point. So our attempt with the media is always to work with you. I don't think there's a reporter in this crowd that can state that the Spokane County Sheriff's Office has ever attempted not to give information. We've always been upfront with you. We've always called you on things. Yesterday, Mr. Klaus asked for information. He did a public disclosure request sent directly to me. I believe within a few minutes, I just happened to be at my desk, I typed that back. I received it, we're working on it. He also sent an amended request. I typed back, fairly contiguous with receiving that. I have it. Lieutenant Gary Smith is working on it. These are the emails. We are working very diligently to make sure that you are kept apprised. When your requests are submitted, we do our best to work with you. Is it possible that at sometime during the afternoon you might call and I don't check my messages for a couple hours and we miss an opportunity to speak? That is possible. We do our best to make sure that you're informed though. So we are working diligently towards making sure that we are doing just that. Jeff, looks like you have a question.
With regard to the vacation, Sheriff, I'm sure this would have not been your first choice.
No, it wouldn't have been. However, if I do anything to look like I am trying to coerce this deputy into this interview, it will taint this investigation. I cannot and I will not allow that to happen. We have to make sure that this is a clean interview. We have to make sure that this is a clean investigation, and I am not willing to jeopardize this investigation by doing anything that can appear coercive.
So when will he be interviewed? When is he due back from vacation?
He will be interviewed Friday morning. It is already set. He has been in contact with members of the Sheriff's Office ever since the night of this incident. He has affirmed that he is willing and wants to do this interview. This should state something, folks. This should state that he wants everyone to know what happened that night. There is no attempt for him to make any stories up because, quite frankly, that is against policy. Once you're involved in a situation, you are not allowed to talk to people.
The physical evidence at the scene and recovered from the victim, that's not going to change. So if it doesn't match his story, no matter how late it comes, if it doesn't match the evidence, you're going to know.
That's right. That is exactly right, Jeff. There is nothing that we have captured. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's better to have all the evidence gathered so when you do that interview, you can match what that interview says with the hard physical evidence.
The fact that he was able to radio code 6, I need help in a hurry, that tells you that this did not happen in an instant.
No, it didn't happen in an instant, but I'm speculating at that point, and I've already told you I refuse to speculate. I can't do that. I have to remain as objective as possible. I need one more question, folks, and we'll wrap it up.
The vacation policy states that if if you had made him stay, you would have had to reimburse his tickets and reimburse the cost of travel. But there's been outcry today about folks saying, well, I think this case is more important than a vacation. How do you react to that?
You're right, Tom. This case is more important. And as I stated, if I do anything that looks coercive in reference to this interview, it can taint this case. That is what people need to understand. We have to ensure the integrity of this investigation, and I am not about to do anything that looks coercive that will jeopardize this investigation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Spokane County Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich holding a news conference live at the Spokane County Courthouse, addressing the concerns, actually a lot of public criticism about why the officer involved, Brian Herzl, in an officer-involved shooting has not been questioned and was allowed to go on a scheduled vacation this week. As you heard Ozzie Knezovich say, the officer will return on Friday. He will be questioned in this case. The investigation will go on.